Yo, what's up, Whoopies? We're back here with another video from Umpaville, and it says Dan Schneider apologizes. I think Drake was supposed to, from Drake and Josh was supposed to like do something for like a documentary or something like that. I don't really remember exactly what it was. I know he was supposed to out somebody at Nickelodeon though. I don't think it was Dan Schneider. I don't know why Dan Schneider apologizing. If the doc did come out, I ain't see the documentary, I ain't see nothing. So let's get into this and see what's going on.
Flashpoint of discussion on the internet in regard to the way that some of the actors on the shows were treated when they were kids.
Watching back some of these scenes and sketches now as an adult, it hits you immediately how inappropriate some of this content was. So much so we can't even air some of them in our story this morning.
We've talked about the many issues with one of the monoliths of the Nickelodeon channel, Dan Schneider, before in a video. Dan Schneider, a man out of time. Quite literally, the man who created our child.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest, it's so sad. Oh, by the way, I kind of got a headache right now, so my voice ain't as chipper as always, because if I yell, it feels like my brain cracking in two. But anyway, other than that, it's so sad that like somebody that made such good shows was just a monster, bro. Like, what is up with this?
At the time of posting, it seemed as if Dan Schneider was the biggest problem of the Nickelodeon empire. Lately, however, a docuseries detailing the dark side of children's TV was released on Max titled Quiet on Set.
Oh, okay, so it did end up releasing. Okay, I want to watch this, but I ain't paying a Max subscription to watch this, so I need to figure out another way.
Working for Dan was like being in an abusive relationship.
Dan's treatment of people on his shows was an open secret.
So my lawyer filed complaints, gender discrimination, hostile work environment, harassment, and it was so devastating.
And it has been revealed that what we know about Dan Schneider is just the tip of a much deeper and darker iceberg. It's disgusting and it's horrible.
These are three predators who worked at Nickelodeon, all in a short amount of time.
So today we're going to be talking about a lot of terrible shit.
What the heck?
If you want to hear about it, you're more than welcome. It's voluntary to watch my channel. If you don't want to hear about it, I understand. I'll probably never see you again. All right?
No, you strapped in. You strapped in about this.
We'll start with Quiet on Set, the 4-part series on Max that dives into the many facets of child abuse that were perpetrated at Nickelodeon.
By the way, I don't think this is going to be able to kill Nickelodeon. Let's be real with that, okay? But like four episodes done on the set, that's crazy.
It covers aspects of what we've been known, but also adds to that and exposes a ton of new stuff. The team is massive. They have a lot of connections at Nickelodeon. It's not a bunch of YouTubers. This is an actual real life production. A lot of A-listers as well. Just kidding. Drake Bell's in it. The beginning of the first episode talks about a lot of this stuff that we already know from easy access on the internet. If you look up Dan Schneider, you will find pretty openly and clearly a lot of bad shit in regard to this guy and horrible stuff that happened on the sets of these shows. It's disgusting. It's horrible. It also provides examples that weren't largely covered. For example, Jamie Lynn Spears getting gooed on, and then the most awkward, weird cutaway transition with the worst fucking Nickelodeon music you can ever imagine. This also happened to another girl on a show called All That, when a character named Captain Big Nose, played by a kid named Leon, was dressed in a superhero outfit. He had a big prosthetic nose, and he sneezed from his prosthetic nose onto another character, and she had slime on her face, and you can tell what that is. You guys know what that is. It's a joke for children that is not appropriate to make as a joke for children in any circumstance.
And the joke in that sketch is effectively a shot joke. It's a shot joke for children.
Leon, a child, by the way, talks about how he had to be a trooper and how he did what he had to do to stay on Dan's good side and stay on the show. Because it's like, there's not that many opportunities for kids outside of Nickelodeon. Like, if they want to be an actor, there's not really that much to do outside of Nickelodeon. It's like the tippy top of the spear, really. You would also apparently know if you were on Dan's good side or not. And this would all be reflected by how he would treat you. That is, a child. You are a child in this circumstance. The series uses these points to really highlight the power imbalance and difference between what Dan has and what these children have. Not only are they just simply children who are vulnerable and, little quarter-grown things that shouldn't be having jobs at all, but they're at the behest of a boss, and also they're elders. They're surrounded by authority, and there's pressure for them to stay in there because a lot of the parents for some of these kids were just pieces of shit, and it was their money. It was the family's only money. They were the sole provider for the families. Parents.
Yeah, and I know that does happen to a lot of like child actors or child like people that's like when they lose, they get big. Yeah, most of the money come from the kids. And the parents like, I mean, we don't gotta work because they making money for us, so we chilling, we good right now. So that does make sense why that would be a thing there.
Would just give up on their own career.
No, I ain't saying it's good or bad. I'm just letting you know that a lot of like child actors, that's how the family is.
Careers to manage their children's acting careers, which is mind-boggling, dude. I hope my children are fucking deadbeats. I'm just gonna say it. I believe that. Quiet on Set also goes into Dan's disturbing and undeniable obsession with feet and how it's a part of Nickelodeon's fucking branding at large.
Yeah, and if you was born around that time, you do remember that foot for Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon literally had a logo of a foot. So I mean, they was as much as in on it as he was.
Now it goes beyond that. It's part of the identity. The very fibers of the being of Nickelodeon were warped around Dan Schneider's fucking foot fetish. Feet were everywhere in Nickelodeon shows. There's a YouTube video called iCarly Feet Scenes. Like I mentioned, part of their brand. The logo was a foot. If you didn't remember, you fucking freaks. On top of this, Sam and Cat, a run by, I assume Dan Schneider, asked for children to send them pictures of their feet. Wow. What a fucking freak. There's this funny little victorious post on Facebook and another tweet by Dan Schneider himself.
Yeah, and that post was actually in the show. I can't remember what show it was, but I'm pretty sure it was like after the post-credit scene. It was like a post-credit scene, like after the credits played and like they played that. I'm pretty sure it was a post-credit scene. I know it was in the show. I can't exactly remember like when exactly it was played, but it was in one of the shows. It was played. I think he put ketchup on her feet. I think they was making like a foot sandwich or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. You know how long it's been since I watched that? Maybe about like a couple of years. But it was like, yeah. So yeah, that I remember that one though.
Little Ariana Grande from Victoria smiles at one of her co-stars' feet. But whose foot is it? I don't know, you mother. Anyways, oh my god, foot fetishes, I joke about it all the time. It's not good to joke about. They're stigmatized. It's really weird. Quentin Tarantino has a bizarre ass weird foot fetish. He loves feet too, and he's got a bunch of feet scenes in all his movies, his grindhouse movies, but they're all adults, and so is he. It's still weird, but it's like not as weird as Dan Schneider. All the movies are rated R, and people get shit in the head. The feet are the least weird part. Dan doesn't have that excuse. Nickelodeon doesn't have that excuse. Bros living a...
Yeah, I definitely feel like Nick knew what was going on, but there was like, this man is bringing in a lot of money for us. And plus, there's probably some people on the board that actually like was along with Dan with that weird stuff. So they probably was like, yeah. Then the people was like, you know, this man bringing in about a couple millions or whoever much they made from all the like shows that he created. They probably like, yeah, we'll just let it slide only because he's making us millions of dollars a season or whatever.
The world worshipping children's television, and they put kids' feet on camera constantly for years. So on top of the more in-depth stuff,
even I thought it was weird, bro. Like I think it was Victoria's as well. Like they was going through their special talents, and hers was that she could shoot an arrow with her foot. I'm like, bro, who want to see that? Like, even as a kid, I was like, I don't want to watch this.
We already know about Dan and Nickelodeon. The docuseries uncovers a ton more that we didn't know. When Dan Schneider created The Amanda Show, it was the first time he was ever listed as a creator in any project. He'd written for shows in the past, he'd been a producer, but he was never explicitly the guy, the be-all end-all of a show. Now, people did credit him for a lot of the success before The Amanda Show, but this was his true big break, and the big break of his protege, Amanda Bynes. Now, we'll start with sexism, because apparently there was sexism towards female staff on set. On top of everything else, they brought on two female writers, Jenny Kilgan and Christy Stratton, to get interviewed for the docuseries about their time writing for The Amanda Show. These are the only two female writers in the whole show, on top of four male writers if you include Dan, who, you know, also wrote for the show. Jenny and Christy were apparently made to split a single salary, getting paid 50%.
What? No.
Of the normal pay versus the men who each got the full salary. And you might ask,
I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be real. Like, if I'm doing the same amount of work, I'm getting paid 50%, I ain't working there anymore, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna take as many sick days off as possible. Next thing you know, I'm gone. I'm out of there. Beep, gone. But yeah, that's outrageous. I'm sorry. That's just wild right there. 50%. That's tough. That's tough.
Well, why would they take the job if they're getting offered a single salary? I don't know, maybe it's, you look at it like budget or something like that. We have one budget. Well, according to them, it wasn't as much about the pay. It was their dream job. It wasn't perfect. It was their dream job.
It kind of makes sense. I'll let that slide. My dream job is like being a YouTuber that actually afford to live while doing YouTube for a living. So, and you see, I'm doing this for free right now.
That's fine. A lot of people.
Well, VTuber that can afford to live, and also Twitch streamer and YouTuber. Guys, once I get up there, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Anyway,
will take pay cuts.
Make sure you guys subscribe, by the way,
to work jobs they actually enjoy. Anyways, that all aside, it's a perfect highlight of the toxic ecosystem during the Dan Schneider era. Okay, guys, it was an ecosystem of abuse for everyone. Just put up with it, because it's either that or you don't have a fucking job. And this is all in the face of apparently Dan telling all the writers for the Amanda Show, Christy and Jenny included, that women aren't funny, they can't write funny, and then ask them to name one funny female writer. I'm not sure if you can imagine this, but on top of all that...
Okay, I gotta be honest, right? I gotta be honest. That's been I'm pretty sure that's been a joke on the internet for years. And I didn't know it was happening all the way back then. That's tough. That's tough.
There was also degradation of staff. Dan would act as a puppet
what the hell
master.
that mean?
Dan would send a message for you to say out loud. Scream hammers.
A stromboli of sorts. And he would tell people to scream things via email.
And then it would be, more degrading, like scream, I'm an idiot. Or slut.
He didn't do it. He would add bigger letters and more exclamatory characters.
And if you didn't, he would send you the message again, caps, exclamation points. He would scream out, say it, until you did.
Christy talks about a time in which Dan...
Why would you... Okay, I know I'm pausing a little too much, but just imagine your boss to send you a message like, hey, yo, scream low. Like what, bro? Like, I mean, hold on. I mean, to be honest, I'll be like, okay. Once it start getting weird and weird, I'll be like, all right, if you don't chill, we gonna have to wreck, bro. It's gonna be one of the two. It's either we fighting or what's going on here. You gonna beat me square up? Like, what's up?
And would offer her $300 to eat 2 pints of ice cream.
One time, Dan said, I'll give you $300 to eat 2 pints of ice cream in 30 minutes.
And she did, because she was broke. She ended up throwing...
How is that possible?
Up afterwards, which makes sense because that's a lot of ice cream.
I was throwing up afterwards, but it was fine.
And I assume she was broke because she's living in California, and
I'm pretty sure most people in California is broke, but okay, it's her.
She had to share a salary with another woman to be in the grace and presence of
at least
the
1,000.
beautiful Dan.
Come on, he could have at least offered 1,000. Man was making bank panic. Come on.
Dan didn't even fucking pay her for this shit. Later, when he asked someone if they could kill a fly for $30, she said, should I add it to your tab, as a joke? And then he took her into his office and berated her.
So one day, he said, somebody kill that fly for $30. And I go, should I add it to your tab? Dan took me into his office and he said, how dare you accuse me of not making good on my bets?
So not only is Dan a fucking creep towards children, he's also a sexist who manipulates the people that work for him with power and doesn't keep promises, even if it's something as small as paying someone $300 to eat a pint. I can't imagine wanting someone to do that for $300.
Yeah, like, bro, even like, I'm sorry, a pint, 2 pints of ice cream. That's a lot.
Just not paying them. The problem is made more apparent when you compare the way he treated his female writing staff to the way he treated his golden goose, Amanda, who was a child. This is taken to a whole nother level when Jenny tells a story of a time in the writer's room where Dan made Christy tell a story from high school where while she was bent over a table acting like she was being... You can define that word if you'd like. You can look it up if you've never heard it. I would read the Bible. So bro works with high school age children and is snuggling up to Amanda, getting in a hot tub with her while he's fully clothed and she's in a swimsuit, and he has his female writer telling a story pretending to be all the while they work for a show about high school aged kids, and the story is...
And Okay, guys. So I want to go lay down right now, but we gonna push through. I'm only 9 minutes in. We're only 9 minutes in, and I already feel like I need to bleach my ears, my eyes right now. Let's go. Let's continue.
From high school, like, what the fuck? By the way, Christy got fired. Not for this, but for taking time for herself. She got fired at the end of the first season of The Amanda Show. Dan demanded all of your time, nights, weekends, everything. Christy apparently went to a concert one week.
I mean, okay, for that part, I mean, it depends, because, like, they are making the show. Let's be real. Most shows, like, most actors spend hours and hours and hours on set. Most writers are in the writing room probably like, oh yeah, maybe this ain't this that good. Let's recreate this. What if we add this to it? So I'll let that one slide about, like, I mean, for her to take personal leave, that, I mean, she should have, like, they should have allowed it anyway, because it's like, it's personal leave. Everyone has rights. But, like, as for, like, him wanting everyone to be on, like, the show 24/7, I would let that slide, because I'm pretty sure in Hollywood a lot of like movies and all that, they ain't made, like, they made within months, but, like, most of them, I don't think they get time off. I don't know. I'm not 100% positive. I never acted before, so I wouldn't know.
Weekend and had friends over on another night and was fired for it, which just, like, I mean, it's just a cherry on, and had friends over on another night.
No. Go back to
everything. Christy apparently went to a concert one weekend and had friends over on another night and was fired for it, which just, like,
okay, that's weird.
I mean, it's just
what
a
the
cherry
hell?
on top. That's just being a bad boss.
Wouldn't she be able to sue for, like, unjust, like, firing or something like that? I don't know what the actual term of the law is, but I'm pretty sure it's a law that you can't just fire anybody for any reason,
I guess, right? All the other shit just kind of really paints the full picture, though. Ginny, on the other hand, would be brought back for season 2, but the offer from Dan was to work 27 weeks but be paid for 16 of those weeks.
Hell.
27 weeks, by the way, is the full run of the show. And this might have been because at one point Ginny found out from the Writers Guild that writers weren't supposed to have their pay split. The Writers Guild is a union for writers. They were just recently on strike in modern times. After learning this, the Writers Guild went after Dan for a violation, and this is basically his creative way to get more work for less money instead of making people split salaries. Ginny quit.
Yeah, because if you sign that contract, then it's gonna be like, well, you did sign a contract. You that's gonna be put in the law from contract. Like she can't really fight against it if she put her signature on. Yes, I agree to get paid this much or that much. But I mean, me personally, I wouldn't agree to that because I want full pay for everything that I'm doing. Like, excuse me.
After only working 4 days of season 2 for The Amanda Show, after Dan had a private meeting with all the male writers, they excluded Ginny, and then they invited her in to pitch an idea with all the guys they're watching, and they interrupted her halfway through her pitch to ask if she'd ever worked in phone before. I assume because it's
whoa, hold on.
Supposed to be funny. I think that it's supposed to be like a joke. He just wanted to humiliate her in front of their colleagues, or I don't know. It's kind of odd thing to do. So The Amanda Show was the first show that Dan was listed as the creator for, and it was plagued with this many issues. He worked on iCarly, Victorious, Drake and Josh, Sam and Cat, a whole bunch of stuff.
I love them all. Well, I don't really care for Sam and Cat. I never watched the Amanda Show. I don't think I was born back then. But iCarly, Victorious, and Drake and Josh, like those are classics, man. Classics that is now tarnished because of one dude. I still love Drake and Josh though.
He's not the only fucking bad guy. It's a systemic thing that exists in Hollywood,
Bro,
specifically around Nickelodeon. I don't know what is going on here.
It's Nickelodeon. That's what's going on there.
A new clip for the ID docuseries Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, suggests that Bell will speak about his alleged abuse by Peck while he was a child actor.
Probably the most shocking bombshell to come from this entire thing is the realization of the fact that Drake Bell was the John Doe who was pivotal in charging Brian Peck back in 2004 for sexual crimes. So Brian Peck, you may have heard the name. I don't really fucking know. I never heard of it until this shit. Yeah. He has credits dating back to 1982 and has credits as recently as 2018. We saw he got charged in 2004. This is the most damning shit. The whole situation, it's disgusting. During his time working with Dan Schneider, Brian was a dialogue coach on the set of Drake and Josh. He worked with Drake Bell and Josh Peck. By the way, Brian and Josh, not related. Sometime in the early 2000s, Brian was coaching Drake at his home when Drake fell asleep on the couch and was later woken up by being assaulted. Drake said that he would always end up back at Brian's house and everything just got worse and worse for him and that he was simply trapped. I mean, he's a child It makes sense. He had no way out, and he had to undergo extensive abuse, and it got brutal, pretty brutal. Those are his words. By the way, Brian was 43 years old. Drake was 15 years old. Fucking disgusting.
What the I can't cuss. I can't cuss. But what? Oh, what? What, bro? Come on, man. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going. We already down in the rabbit hole enough. That is mess, bro. I would have had to kill him. I'm gonna be honest. If I was Drake, he would have been dead. The first it's whatever sentence you give me, officer. Do what you gotta do. As long as that man ain't walking the earth no more. But that's just me. But that's, oh my gosh, that's so messed up. That is so outrageous, bro.
Disgusting is what it is. Fortunately, Drake eventually told his parents about the abuse, and Brian was arrested and later convicted. Detectives even tapped a phone line, and Drake called Brian to confront him, and Brian admitted to what he had done, and he is now a registered sex offender, and he served 16 months.
Look at that evil smile, bro.
Months in prison. Why not more?
16 months? What? You know what? Well, let's say what you gotta say.
I have no idea.
Okay, so my bad. I gotta stop right here. I will never understand the justice system, bro. Like, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like somebody like that, somebody that did that, he said it get worse and worse. Somebody that did that gets 16 months, but like the stuff like with other crimes that's way lower, it get 20 years max, 40 years max. I think back in the day, they was like, for people that had like small little ounces of like weed, they was given like 10, 20 years. But somebody like that gets 16 months, bro. That's just a time out at that point. Like, why not the death penalty? At least 20 years. Okay, at least 40 years to be honest. But let's say 20 years, like 10 years, at least. No, just a year and what is that? 16 months? What is that, about like a year and a couple of months? Like that, bro. What is that supposed to teach anybody? I don't understand the justice system at all. I don't know why it is the way it is. That's just whatever. Let's continue. My brain is already fried already today, and
yeah. And also, how about the next part? Dude? Brian was also a great big fan of this other fella who is a great guy, just like Brian. Ever heard of John Wayne Gacy?
Also known as,
oh my gosh,
the Killer Clown, had murdered more people than any one person in U.S. history.
Yeah, the one that made it off of.
Yeah, the degenerate freak Brian Peck also had ties to John Wayne Gacy. They were fucking pen pals. During a cast and crew barbecue at old Brian's house, he showed off the Planet of the Apes shrine he had in his garage, which was pretty cool. But he also had an out-of-place fucking clown poster. It was a gift from John Wayne Gacy, signed to Brian. I hope you enjoyed the painting. Best wishes, your friend John Wayne Gacy. What the f? You guys know who John Wayne Gacy is?
John Wayne Gacy brutally murdered 33 young men and buried their bodies under the floorboards of his home. He had appeared to be a successful businessman and a pillar of his community, but neighbors would soon learn that appearances can be deceiving. Hiding behind the facade was America's most evil serial killer.
Facetiousness aside, this is a big red flag. A man who works around children, idolizing and bragging about a friendship with a man who quite literally killed 24 children. What the f? On top of the clown poster, Brian also kept letters and photos that he had exchanged with John next to his bedside table. And this is all according to Kyle Sullivan, who was in the documentary. So Brian is an actual monster, a legitimate, real, registered.
That is a psycho, bro. And they only gave him 16. That's what I was saying, man. Stop talking about.
Defender, 16 month in prison monster who's friends with John Wayne Gacy. That previous sentence being said, it didn't stop a few very important people from writing letters of recommendation to the judge during his trial. Will Friedle and Ryder Strong were two young actors who supported Brian during his conviction of essaying a 15-year-old child. This is similar to the Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis letters that they wrote for Danny Masterson, who was convicted of rape. The letters were originally sealed, by the way. Nobody knew that they had supported Brian during his trial until the documentary came out, when the letters were unsealed by the request of the producers on the show. Only then did they start to backpedal their support for Brian. In all fairness, Brian absolutely manipulated people to support him. There's a full interview with Will and Ryder on the podcast called Pod Meets World, which goes way deeper into the situation, including who Brian was and Will and Ryder's perspectives on what happened. They both apparently feel shame and guilt for supporting Brian. Good.
Oh no, I believe they just bad. They just feel shame and guilt that they got caught. Because if they really did feel that way, after all these years, they would have at least like said something, right? But I guess that. I guess that.
This is where things get a little crazy to me. Okay, a little crazier than they actually already were. Okay, little more crazy. After being released from prison, Peck did work in the industry again. Like I said, a credit in 2018, all the way up. He worked on 3 episodes of Sweet Light. Luckily, he was never on set. And when the network learned of his conviction, he was terminated and his credits in the episode were replaced.
How? So you telling me people had, what is that? Sweet Life of Zack Cody was on Disney Channel. So you telling me people at Disney just didn't look into the back history of these people they're hiring? That means they could have hired a little murderer and they were like, oh, my bad, guys. We didn't know this person was over here just murking people in his past. Oh, sorry. Cause how don't you first, how you hire somebody and then like what, after 3 episodes they realize, oh yeah, so this person did something super bad. Yeah, we just figured that out now. Let's get him out of here. Like, you tell me they didn't know beforehand? Like, what?
Fact that he even got to be anywhere near children again. Oh my God.
Like, that makes no sense. Like, what the heck?
Who are these people out here doing this shit? Luckily,
somebody
there's
do their job right.
Watchdogs in the industry that keep an eye on him and people like him. Watchdogs. By watchdogs, we mean people who aren't fucking files. And
yeah, because come on, bro, there's no way he should have got that job. Like, it's like somebody should have saw his back history and was like, hey, yo, skip, next he ain't allowed over here.
File apologists or whatever the how hard is it to not just be a fucking worthless piece of shit? So the response to this online has been fucking ridiculous. Obviously, this is a lot of stuff being exposed, a lot of stuff people already knew and people already kind of thought, but all the Drake Bell stuff is terrible. And Drake Bell has a public platform. He's online. He's doing stuff. You've seen
YouTube
clips of him in court. I mean,
I know Josh got YouTube, but I don't know if Drake got YouTube.
The dude has been lambasted, rightfully so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he had that. What was it? I think he was texting somebody underage or something like that. I just remember that. I forgot all about that. I'm gonna be honest. Like, that was big for a week, and then people just stopped talking about it. I don't even know what happened.
For doing horrible shit to people, but in the wake of all,
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I'm not 100% positive because I really don't remember. I'm pretty sure was it him? I know Josh got used to try it though.
All this, it's a completely new layer of context that's incredibly important to understand. Back to Will and Ryder though, Drake called them out on Instagram and said that they were trying to save face to get ahead of the story at the request of their publicists. They were victims too. I listened to that entire podcast and they were manipulated by him just like anyone else. They feel awful and they were minors. This isn't black and white. Will was 27 years old and Brian told him what he did. Many people turned away and said, no, I won't write a letter, but they did. Will was not manipulated. Brian admitted it to him and he wrote the letter anyway. Then he worked with me on many episodes of Spider-Man years later and never said a
Drake was on Spider-Man? What's Spider-Man? Somebody link that in a comment section down below.
Word to me about it. This is because they were told the letters are going to be made public. Everyone thought the letters would be sealed forever and no one would ever see them. This is their publicist telling them how to get ahead of the story. I'm inclined to believe Jake here. They're 27 years old. You couldn't manipulate me into, all I know is my own shit.
Come on now.
If a file just started talking to me for one and admitted to me what they did, I don't know what I would do, to be honest with you. Especially.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I know what I'm gonna do. I can't say what I'm gonna do on YouTube actually. That may get my channel taken down. Let's just say it involves a click clack boom. But either that or it involves the 911 police being called and I'm like, yo, yeah, I'm gonna have them say it over again, obviously, so I can record it, so that way they have recorded evidence as well. I was like, here you go. Yes, they did say that. Okay, all right, thank you. Now he go to jail. Well, who knows how long he go to jail? Because for apparently they only get 16 months. But what? Okay then.
Especially if I'm in like a working relationship with that person, and the person by which they filed was someone that I also was working with, and someone that I was a peer to. That is just impossible. I cannot imagine the situation there.
Yeah, that gotta be hard to like go through. Oh my gosh.
It's fucking horrible. Drake also clarifies that Ryder was 24 years old when he wrote the letter, and he also knew what Brian did. So it seems like if you just see that, it's like, oh, Drake's obviously purely just a victim here. But no, he also perpetrated some inappropriate things with minors, dude. In 2021, Drake pled guilty to a felony charge of attempted.
So it was Drake. I knew it.
Child endangerment and a misdemeanor charge of disseminating matter harmful to juveniles. And this all related to inappropriate text messages he sent to a teenage girl in 2017. He was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service. And his victim called him the epitome of evil during the hearing. So Drake is a victim himself.
Wait. 2 years of probation. Wait. How? Yeah, he was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 200 hours community. These niggas get all scot-free, bro. What is this? This is basically scot-free. Is it probation like you just walking around with like a monitor on your like ankle or something like that? I can't remember exactly what a probation is.
And his victim called him the epitome of evil during the hearing. So Drake is a victim himself, and he's a perpetrator and creator of victims as well. People say hurt people hurt people. There's actually a report called Abused Becoming Abuser Statistics Market Report and Data that pulls upon a bunch of very reputable sources that shows that approximately 1/3 of abused children will go on to become abusers themselves. This was a study funded by the National Institute of Justice. Being a human being is fucking tough business. Holy shit. Especially when you're fucking around people like Brian Peck and Dan Schneider. Drake also released a very disturbing music video inspired by his life and the things that happened to him, as well as acknowledging his own history, and the song is a pledge to break the cycle of abuse and grooming that Hollywood seems to encourage. Drake felt that it was the right time to tell his story since he was participating in Quiet on the Set. The music video itself doesn't excuse what he did, obviously, but it's a nice step forward in the industry, it seems. It's a thing that's shrouded in it's eldritch, it's sinister, it's evil, it's degenerate. I believe that Drake will make good on his word personally. I feel like there's, you know, getting your past out there has to be a good thing. It's not that he's a good guy, obviously. Now, I mean, that would be up to his own victims to completely forgive him, to absolve him of his sins there. But yeah, it seems like the right direction, at least. And online, it seems that Drake does have quite a few supporters now in the wake of this whole thing. There are a lot of people who are just being like, you know, you file or whatever, which I could, you know, that's fine. It's completely fine. But also, you can't fault people for feeling as though he is a victim in this situation as well, because he undoubtedly is. It's just an example of Hollywood. Historically, it's a godless fucking wasteland. You've got Dan Schneider, you got Harvey Weinstein. Who knows what else that we just don't know about? Who knows what the fuck? It's full of shitty people. In my opinion, anything that can be exposed, any light that can be shed on the evil out there, especially against children, is just an overall good thing. Nickelodeon didn't just have one child predator. No, God, no, guys. There's another fella named Jason Handy, an additional fucking predator. In the second episode of Quiet on the Set, Jason Handy is introduced into the show as one of the guys who was super easy to get along with, according to one of the moms of a girl who appeared on the Amanda Show. He just seemed like your typical all-American man. He exchanged phone numbers and emails with a number of parents and kids on the set, which at first everybody appreciated, because for the kids who were only appearing in episodes here and there, it was like a way to build up connections and a rapport with people in the world. MJ, the mother of Brandy, who made appearances on the Amanda Show, traded contact information with Jason, and they would find out fairly quickly that Jason was not who he pretended to be. Their initial interactions, Jason would tell Brandy that, he worked on different shows or whatever. Things were pretty tame, normal, standard, regular stuff.
There was an email from Jason. She let me read it, and it was a very innocent email. It just talked about the shows that he had been working on. She would tell me, oh, I got an email from Jason. He's doing this, he's doing that. I didn't see any harm in it.
And eventually, Jason would send Brandy, a child, a picture of him doing something horrible. But the parent of Brandy, MJ, wouldn't call the police on Jason, wouldn't report him, because she was worried that people would think she was a bad parent for letting her daughter talk to an adult man in the first place.
I went back and forth with, should I call the police?
Yes. Yes, you should.
They're going to think I'm a bad parent because I allowed her to talk to this person. I struggle with this, and I finally told myself, I can't call the police. All I can do is make sure I keep her far away from him.
Jason would eventually get caught, fortunately, because we're talking about him in this fucking show, Quiet on Set, but just not as soon as if MJ would have reported him. In 2003, a year after the Amanda show ended, authorities searched Jason's home and they found multiple Ziploc bags containing tokens or prizes from underage girls, one of which was a pair of, I can't remember what to say, dude. I don't even want to say it. He referred to himself as a pedophile in his diary, which is ridiculous.
What?
That was just the tip of the iceberg.
I mean, it's the range, bro.
He had 10,000 images, just
10,000? What?
Horrible, 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 horrible stuff. This fucking imbecile would face trial for his crimes in 2004. He would plead no contest to 2 felonies. Horrible, horrible felonies. You can imagine it. It's fucking terrible. He was unfortunately only given 6 years in prison. He was released in 2009 and moved to North Carolina, where he registered as a sex offender. And this is not his mugshot from 2004. This is his sex offender registry from 2013. So not even in 2009. Interesting. But maybe this is his mugshot. No, that's actually when he was rearrested in 2014. This is not him from 2004. What? Who would have thought that this guy would get in trouble again? Oh, man.
Yeah, who would have known?
Man, that sucks. More assaults of children again. Hey, how about you just fucking, how about that? How about you? It's just dark. It's horrible and dark. I'm glad this shit came out, though. I'm really glad that it came out. I recommend watching.
Bro, I'm starting to think Nickelodeon is just not a good. It's not a good. It's the well, who was in charge back then? Like, how they let this slip through how they let this slip? Like, all these people. You telling me the higher ups didn't see anything? They didn't see anything wrong. They ain't see nothing weird about it. They was just like, okay, I'm making that bag. Let's continue, guys. Come on, I need more shows. Oh, we got Carly. Okay, we need one after that. Victoria's. Okay, let's go. Drake and Josh. Oh, well, you speaking my mind out there. All right. Like what? Like you tell me they didn't see none of this. They nothing tipped them off. I guess when you the CEO, you probably don't really go to work. No, it's fine. A lot of CEOs go to work, but some of them probably don't. The ones at Nickelodeon probably just stuck to probably, I don't know what the heck they would do up there, but just green light shows. I don't even know if they do green light shows or not.
It on Max if you guys want to scar yourselves, I guess. Luckily, it's,
I'm already scarred enough, man.
From that time, we're far on from that. You can see the results of it. Amanda Bynes not doing that well. Drake Bell not doing that well. A lot of these victims are just not doing that well, and you can kind of see. You can kind of get a picture in your mind as to why, and hopefully this is a cautionary tale, genuinely. Dan Schneider as well, who, by the way, has a Instagram and also a YouTube channel, and he responded, like I said, to the
He has a YouTube channel, like 700 and what? He almost got 1 million, but I can't get 1,000. Guys, come on. We gotta beat that criminal, okay? We gotta beat that criminal, and we gotta beat him, okay? I need 1,000. I need 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button now. We need it. We gotta beat these things out here, all right? Like, nah, but for real, the YouTube channel, that's crazy. Nah, that's outrageous, bro.
Allegations.
What would he even post anyway? Like what?
Oh my god, dude. He broke his silence on his
I swear, if he have a ukulele in his hand.
Instagram page, his recent posts direct people to a statement on the Quiet on Set series, link in bio. It's an awesome YouTuber apology video that's actually an interview, and he's being interviewed by one of iCarly's stars, Boogie, the guy Tebow.
Here's a basket of tacos.
That?
Here's a stick. Put the tacos on a stick.
What have Tebow been doing, bro?
Boogie intros this video by saying he saw the docuseries and he reached out to Dan if he'd be willing to discuss it, which he was willing to discuss it, which is ridiculous. By the way, Dan does not look too good. I'm gonna be honest. He looks like shit.
I got a chance to watch the Quiet on Set program, and I reached out to Dan to see if it was something that he'd be willing to discuss. I'm pleased to say that he said yes. Dan, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
He says he's been watching the show over the last few nights closely, like the episodes of Game of Thrones being released, and he says it was very difficult seeing his past behavior. He's appalled by his past, saying that he should never have done any of that, and he wouldn't do it today.
Is there anything you'd like to start off with?
Absolutely. Watching over the past 2 nights was very difficult. Me facing my past behaviors, some of which are embarrassing and that I regret. And I definitely owe some people a pretty strong apology.
He even apologized to anyone who saw him like that.
It was wrong. It was wrong that I ever put anybody in that position. It was the wrong thing to do. I'd never do it today. I'm embarrassed that I did it then. I apologize to anybody that I ever put in that situation. And even additionally, I apologize to the people who were walking around Video Village or wherever they happened, because there were lots of people there who witnessed it who also may have felt uncomfortable. So I owe them an apology as well.
They bring up the writer room situation that we talked about earlier, and Dan starts saying all the things that he should say. No writer should feel uncomfortable in any writer's room. Writers know that inappropriate jokes are made and inappropriate topics come up, but he's embarrassed that he participated in it as the lead of the room.
Dan, talk to me about the writer's room. From what I saw, not cool.
No, and I don't mean to cut you off, but if I can cut right to the chase, let me just say, no writer should ever feel uncomfortable in any writer's room, ever, period, the end, no excuses. Most TV writers, comedy writers have been in writers' rooms, and they are aware that a lot of times there are inappropriate jokes made and inappropriate topics come up. But the fact that I participated in that, especially when I was leading the room, it embarrasses me. I shouldn't have done it.
And then comes a softball question with a softball response. The guy brings up anybody else who may have not had a good experience working with Dan after touting his success over 2 decades. And Dan hates the fact that anyone would work for him and not have a good time.
Now, we know you've had a lot of success over 2 decades. Thousands of people have worked with you, for you.
Okay.
Let's speak directly to the people who did not have a good experience with you.
Okay, I would like to speak to those people because I hate that anybody worked for me and didn't have a good time. You know me, you've been on my sets. Look, I've had some employees that have worked for me for 10 years, some more than 20 years, who would work with me again, but not everybody. There's still a significant number that didn't have a great time working for me.
Yeah, Sam did do not like that man whatsoever. And I don't know. I don't think she ever came out and said why, but she don't like that man.
So my batting average isn't nearly high enough in that area.
He deflects blame a little bit for why people wouldn't have a good time working with him, and he says that he let the pressure get to him.
The way they wouldn't get the best of me is that I would let the pressure of doing 40 or even more episodes per year, I would let that pressure get to me, which a good boss should never, ever do.
Was there specific things that you were doing?
Sure. I would snap at people sometimes. I would be snarky when I could have given them a nicer answer.
Oh, poor guy's a boss making TV shows that are supposed to be fun and lighthearted for children, but he couldn't create a non-toxic work environment for anybody. Aw, poor guy. I feel so bad for him and his goat beard. He says after watching the series, there were many times that he wanted to call people and apologize and talk to them about their experience working for him, but he didn't do it.
There were so many times I wanted to pick up.
Why didn't you do it, bro? Why didn't you just pick up the phone?
And call some of those people and say,
whole house is this, bro? Because this got to be a set. Because like, what is this? Like, do people actually live like this? Like, me personally, I want to have a bike up there. Well, that's just me.
So sorry, and let's talk about it. And I wish you'd had a better time, and I wish I could have shown you a better experience.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that, dude? Apologize. Just go ahead and apologize instead of just, I wanted to be like the guy in Billy Madison who crosses Adam Sandler off his list, Billy Madison off his list after he apologizes. Be Billy Madison. Apologize to those people. Eventually, it's gonna come back for you. All right? If you don't, it's gonna come back for you. Believe me, I know. I'm the one who comes back for you. Don't apologize for me. Just kidding. Revenge is a fool's game, Dutch. It's like he wants the credit for apologizing or some kind of weird victim credit for feeling remorseful. It's like there's a little bit, he likes trying to appear as though he is also someone who,
I feel like the way he's trying to move it is like he doing that thing where I know I did was wrong, but at least I feel bad for it. I feel like that's the way he's trying to go.
Who should be felt bad for, a sympathetic character. I don't know about victim. What the fuck? The next section is when they bring up the controversial jokes in Dan's old shows, specifically the ones that are seen as insanely inappropriate now. And this is where I become really skeptical of what this interview is trying to accomplish, or whatever the it says it thinks it's trying to accomplish. Tebow asks another softball question. He says, "People say your jokes are inappropriate for children. What do you think of that?" Not like a direct mention of anything disgusting or weird, like the shit with Ariana Grande. Not, why were you making Ariana Grande squeeze a potato? Why are some of your bits shot jokes for kids? Why do you have children show their feet on your shows? Nothing like that. Just
Cause like, let's be real. A lot of kid cartoons have adult jokes in there, right? For adult audiences to be like, oh, I get that, but obviously Johnny there don't understand what the heck that means in the first place. Like, SpongeBob is famous for it, actually. Like, they have a lot of adult jokes there, but they do it in a way. Well, first of all, they are animated characters, so they're not real. Second of all, SpongeBob is acted by adults. But I don't know what, it's a kid audience, but they make it in a way where it's really not, to be honest. Like, some of the jokes that like, when I rewatched SpongeBob, I was like, oh my gosh, they did that? As a kid, I was like, ha, funny. I don't understand it whatsoever. But SpongeBob does it. I'm pretty sure a couple of other shows do it.
some people say your jokes are inappropriate. What do you think of that?
Some people think that some of those jokes are inappropriate for children. What do you think of that?
All these jokes that you're speaking of, that the show covered over the past 2 nights, every one of those jokes was written for a kid audience because kids thought they were funny and only funny.
Dan's answer is a wash. As you can imagine, he says that he wrote those jokes for a kid audience. Now we have adults looking at them 20 years on, and we realize that they're inappropriate for a kid show. He has no problem with the fact that they are inappropriate. He says that we should cut them if they're inappropriate. What a good man.
Looking back at them 20 years later,
what a
their
trooper.
lens, and they're looking at them and they're saying, oh, you know, I don't think that's appropriate for a kid show. And I have no problem with that. If that's how anyone feels, let's cut those jokes out of the show. Just like I would have done 20 years ago or 25 years ago. I cut it. I want my shows to be popular. I want everyone to like. The more people who like the shows, the happier I am. So if there's anything in a show that needs,
the happier he is because the more money he get, by the way. Don't let that fool y'all guys.
Needs to be cut because it's upsetting somebody, let's cut it.
So I think it's big for you to say with your work, if it's viewed as that today, you don't have a problem.
Cut it. Cut it.
Tebow, the interviewer, the guy who's supposed to be the voice of people who are upset with Dan, at least so I thought, and the person who's asking the hard questions and, you know, and pinning him up and getting the right answer.
It's obvious that it's a scapegoat video, by the way. I don't know if y'all ain't realized that by now. Come on now. It's obvious. The video is on Dan Schneider, is on his channel. So obviously, let's be real, is there to make him look at least decent enough to like gain some kind of sympathy back. Like, oh my gosh, at least you apologize or whatever, right? Like that's really what it's there for. Let's be real.
Answers. He seems to be surprised by Dan's suggestion to cut inappropriate jokes. He responds to Dan's answer by saying he thinks it's big for Dan to say that, if people feel that way now. This is a fluff piece, trying to save Dan's image, trying to blow smoke up his ass to make him, this is his renaissance, this is his return. Tebow even says, that's a solution.
I mean, that's a solution.
The last thing I want to ever do is put any content in a show that's going to upset my audience and make them want to turn off the TV.
Dan isn't the guy who's creating the problems. He's the guy offering solutions now, guys. After the big quiet on the set, Drake was right. The fucking other two dudes trying to get ahead of this. That's what Dan's doing here. He's just doing a really bad job, a really weird way. And by the way, it gets way worse. In the next segment, they try to dispel the notion that Dan was as powerful as he was portrayed to be in Quiet on the Set. Tebow asks if Dan could just write a joke and it would be put in the show.
I want to give you an opportunity to kind of elaborate on something.
Okay.
The thought process from the series is you had the power to just write a joke, and no matter what, it's going on TV. You just had that type of power. Is that true?
Dan says that the notion he could create whatever he wanted is completely false. He says that it's false because there was many levels of scrutiny that the production would undergo from all aspects, from writing to wardrobe, and that it would have to be approved by executives on both coasts in LA and New York.
The notion that I had the power to just produce whatever I wanted and have it air is completely false.
Okay.
Maybe the Amanda show that is true, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe it for like the rest of his other shows, because then he'll have a track record of having a good show, right? if you have a track record of having a good show, most of the time they're not really going to look over and be like, oh, is this actually a good joke or not? They're going to like, we trust him. He made one good show. Let's see. And let's say, okay, maybe like, oh, Carly probably was a little bit. Then like, not Carly got big, like popping. They probably was like, all right, he did it again. And then Victorious, he did it again. So it's like, okay, hold on real quick. We might as well just let him cook. They shouldn't have let him cook in the first place, but you know, whatever, right?
There were many, many levels of scrutiny, okay? We had executives in LA. We had executives in New York.
So two coasts.
Two coasts of approval, yes. And by the way, approval at every stage, really. Okay. And I'm talking about wardrobe. I'm talking about makeup, sound, sets, dialogue, jokes, everything.
But if that's true, then there are more people who are bad, including Dan. There's just people above Dan who are bad. The people who hired the other people who are worse than Dan. The rabbit hole just goes deeper. Thank you, Dan, for letting us know that. This just feels really weird and fucking disingenuous and cringe, and I hate it. I don't like it at all. Who approved the on set, Dan? Tell us that. Tell us who approved that. Was it you or was it the executives? Tebow states that as a father, he wouldn't even be opposed for his own child to be in the entertainment industry.
Being a new father, I wouldn't be opposed to my child being in the entertainment industry. It doesn't matter what age, yeah? Seeing some of those on-air dares, seeing it now from where you are now in your life, what do you think of that?
Honestly, bro, saying that in the wake of all this, it's not a good look. You are...
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be like, hey, yo. If you really want to do this, if you really want to act, okay. But I'm coming to every set, every shoot, and I'm being there. And if it's something I don't like, we gone. We gone. Ain't no apple bud. No. But that's just me. That's just me.
That's a weird thing. That's a weird thing to say after a documentary comes out exposing the entertainment industry and its relationship with children.
Some of the on-air dares went too far. I think they pushed the envelope too far. Not all of them, not most of them, but some did. Nickelodeon wanted to do their version of Fear Factor. At the time we were shooting all that, so I was tasked.
I'm pretty sure they actually did make a Fear Factor. I'm pretty sure they did. They made a TV show of a Fear Factor. One of them did. It was Nickelodeon, Disney, or what's the other one? Cartoon Network. I don't think Cartoon Network did it because it's Cartoon Network. But I'm pretty sure there was like a Fear Factor type show on one of those platforms. I can't remember. Okay, I vaguely remember it being there, and I wasn't watching it because I didn't care. I was like, bro, where's my Teen Titans at? Like, excuse me, Teen Titans, let's get it.
With doing these on-air dares with the All That cast. So we get with the writers and we come up with all these ideas, and it's hard to do because we don't have the budget of Fear Factor, and we can't put the kids in dangerous situations like the adults are put in. So it was hard to come up with stuff. But we would come up with all these ideas of dares they could do. We would give them to the network, and they would say, tell us the ones that were okay. Right. Those are the ones we shot. Those are the ones that aired.
So pretty much Dan goes down the list of admitting to certain stuff or explaining little things like the wage discrepancy, says it's just normal.
Yeah, but we saw these two women who were writers for you sharing one salary. How does that happen?
It's very simple. There's a common practice in television when hiring writers. If you have a spot for a new writer, sometimes you'll go to two writers and say, hey, if you two new writers for your first job are willing to share a salary, you can both have the job. They have the opportunity to say, yes, that sounds good, or no, no thank you. In this case, it was two women writers. I've done another show where that teaming was done with two male writers, and they split a salary. I did another show where it was a male and a female writer, and they split a salary.
And these are all first-time writers.
All first-time writers looking.
So basically, first-time writers get cucked. That's what he's saying right now. He's basically saying the first-time writers, yeah, you're gonna get cucked for your pay because it's a practice that they do to save out on money of hiring two writers. They could hire two writers for the price of one instead of hiring two writers for the price of two.
And for their first gig.
They then finally bring up Amanda Bynes, one of the saddest childhood stars whose life was ruined the most compared to anyone. Dan states when she was 16, 17 years old, she wanted to be emancipated. Emancipation is when you are legally declared independent from your parents. But Amanda Bynes was not able to be emancipated.
Amanda was between the ages of 16 and 17, and she wanted to get emancipated from her parents, which was a fairly common thing with successful young actors.
Yeah, that is common.
At least at the time. Sure. And she wanted that for herself. So she turned to her team, which included her lawyer, her agent, her manager, her publicist, me, because she included me as part of her team, thought of me that way. We supported her. She tried to get emancipated. It ended up not working out. She didn't.
They also bring up the incident in which she ran away from home and Dan gave a play-by-play. He was there for her, apparently.
One night, it was very late, well after midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning. Phone rang. I answered. It was Amanda. She was upset. She was in distress. She had had some conflict with her parents, I think her father, and she called me. I was immediately concerned about her safety. I called someone who I knew was fairly nearby. That person was able to go and pick her up. Then I knew she was safe. I felt better. She ended up being taken to the police.
Then, something I thought I'd never see, Dan Schneider talking about a child predator on Nickelodeon.
The darkest part of this series discussed child predators. Now, I want to make sure that we clear a couple of things up.
Okay.
Dan claims he did not hire Brian Peck, and Dan states that when him and Drake talked, he was devastated. More than anything that has ever devastated him in his entire career.
Brian Peck was not hired by you.
No, I did not hire Brian Peck.
This was a Tolan Robbins production?
Yeah. And when Drake and I talked and he told me what had happened, I was more devastated by that than anything that ever happened to me in my career thus far. And I told him, I'm here for you. What do you need? Which Drake mentioned in the show that we watched last night.
Dan states he's still in contact with Drake's mom and she came to him and she's not good with words.
I don't know if people know this, but Drake's mom, a lovely woman who I stay in contact with this day, she came to me at the time and she said, Dan, I'm not good with words like you are. And would you help me with my speech for the judge? And I said, of course. And I did.
Then Dan starts crying during a part of the interview, talking about how he's still in contact with Drake's mom, and he said he wanted to help her, basically. I don't know, dude. The kicker he didn't understand is how Peck got out of prison as a registered sex offender and then was immediately rehired by the Disney Channel. Yeah, we don't get that either, bro.
Yeah, makes no sense.
You could maybe shed.
Makes no sense. It gotta. They have their spies, bro. They all, whatever you want to call it. They have people. They like it's obvious at that point that Disney needs to be looked at as well. But, you know, whatever.
Some light on that because you're kind of like, you know, part of that problem a little bit.
And here's the kicker that I really don't get. After he got out of prison and was, to my knowledge, a registered sex offender, he was hired on a Disney Channel show. I don't understand.
And then it ends with just more softball shit. Pretty lame interview, honestly. Pretty lame apology, pretty bad. It's not going to end well for Dan, to be honest. I don't think so. And overall, there's a lot of deep-seated issues in television and movies in general, especially anything in regard to children. And from just what we've seen from Nickelodeon, what about Disney? I mean, they hired Beto. They hired.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We gotta look into Disney at that point, because there's no way. I'm sorry, you can say whatever you want. I refuse to believe that they looked through that man back, that they didn't look through his background and just hired him off the spot. They had to look through his background. Somebody who was looking through it or one of the higher ups was like, know what? Whatever. Let's get him on the show. And then what happened after that? Then somebody else came up and was like, oh, you know, this is a part of like his history, right? And they were like, oh, well, I can't fire him then. I did. No, like, nah, bro. No. Somebody, they knew. Whoever hired them, they knew. And they just decided to not care. That's what it looked like. So Disney, you up next.
Hired the sex offender.
Maybe this is why Cartoon Network said, know what, guys? We're just gonna stay with cartoons, okay?
When's that documentary coming out? What the fuck, dude? This is insane. These people are all evil.
Stop bullying me. What is going on with that? Anyway, so this was a good video. This is a great video. If you don't know Oompaville yet, well, that's Oompaville right there. 5.12 million subscribers. I like the video. That video was good. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I feel like I need to lay down. I need to go to sleep or something. Like my head was hurt. It went from my head hurting to me just feeling like disgust. And I don't know what to do. Just make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to share the video, guys. And subscribe to the channel as well. And I'm going to sleep. I just don't know what to say after watching that. Yeah. See y'all guys later. What the heck, bro? What in the hell?